It is now time for Sports on Pulse. My name is Hans Mensah, and for the last few days, it's all been about the Normalization Committee of the Ghana Football Association. And today they've announced 6 ad hoc committees and inaugurated those committees to aid the work of the Normalization Committee. So I'll be going through the persons on the various committees for you. And afterwards, we get into a bit chit-chat here in the studio. So there is the referee committee, and I'll be taking a look at the names on that particular committee. Also, okay, there. So the referees committee is what you have there. Kujo Fiano is the chairman of the committee. Alex Kote is a member. Vivian Agor also a member. Carl Ashi is a member. Adam Munkaila is a member. And Emmanuel Dasoberi is the secretary of the referees committee, another committee of the Ghana Football Association Normalization Committee. There is also the technical committee, and it is chaired by Dr. Owusu Ansa. Also, Professor Joseph Minta is the vice chairman. Francis Otiakenta is a member of that committee. Mark Noonan is a member of that committee. Frederick Papo is also a member of the committee. Stephen Appiah, ex-Blaster skipper, is a member of the committee, as well as Joe Debra, also a member of the committee, and Mark Addo being the secretary of the technical committee. There is a domestic league committee chaired by Dr. Banyako, and Jones Abu Hassan is the vice chairman. There is Kwame Intofianko is a member. Frank Todd, also a member. Mike Bonsu, Dr. Kweku Ofusuasari, and also Mercy Tego. All members, as well as Senna Akoto Ampao as a secretary. Marketing and Sponsorship Committee is chaired by Gadi Lai, also Yao Ampofuankra is the vice chairman, Yao Adulabi, Nana Amampene Boatinchum, and also Frederick Frimpong, Richard Ahiable, Titi Owusu Norte, Ifia Kranchua in team, all members, and William Bosman as a secretary. The national team's ad hoc committee is chaired by Dr. Patrick Ofori. Samuel Osei-Kuffour is a vice chairman of the committee. Mrs. Sofa Koko is a member. Frank Edu Jr. also a member. Ebo Kwetu is a member, and Gifty Apia and Charles Kojo in team, all members, and then Francis Esa Edu as a secretary. So essentially, those are the various committees and the members that make up the committee. Also, the communication and promotion chaired by Paul Adomotre. Ekoasma is the vice chairman of that committee. Albert Sam is a member. Kwame Sefakai is a member. Ohene Brenya also a member, and Ebo Kwanza completing the members, and Tamimu Issa as the secretary of the communication and promotion committee. Oh, if you don't understand why I'm smiling, Ekoasma being the vice chairman of the Communication and Sponsorship Committee of the FA's Normalization Committee, got me smiling a bit, obviously due to his bust up with Lawyer Diadonte, who is a member of the Normalization Committee. And Seydou Adamu is the man joining me in the studio to take a look at this latest development. And of course, I mentioned the fact that the Normalization Committee has been hitting a bit of a brick wall in terms of that competition that they wanted to organize for the Division 1 and the Premier League clubs. There's a new development to that effect, but we'll focus on this particular development. I'm talking about the committee that they have inaugurated or outdoored. Seydou, thank you very much for joining me. Has this come as a surprise to you, considering the fact that the mandate of this committee is time-bound? Of course, we know that it is subject to being extended, but it is not a certainty. Does it come as a surprise to you?
Well, the aspect of it that comes as a surprise, that's the time to which this committee has been inaugurated, because the NC, or the Normalization Committee, took close to 120 days to do this. And for me, this should have been done, long ago. Okay. Because if your mandate is ending in 60 days' time, and you are yet to form even some of the essential committees some of us expect to come, if indeed they are to wrap up by the 31st of March, then I think we are in for a run for our money. Because many of these essential committees have not been formed yet. Okay. Elections Committee. Right. Which is very, very critical to their mandate, has not been formed. And there was no hint as to whether it was going to be formed or not. There was not formed any legal committee
Absolutely.
And in this case, we are looking at the disciplinary committee and the appeals committee.
Okay.
Don't forget that the elections committee will work with the appeals committee in case there are some grievances.
Absolutely.
In case people feel they have been shortchanged, they have to resort to the appeals committee. These three committees have not been formed.
Even with the legal committee that you mentioned, in terms of reviewing the statutes of the FA, it's a very relevant body in that regard.
Which falls under the ambit of legalities.
Okay.
Therefore, for me, the legal committee was one of the first committees which should have been formed. Absolutely. But even back to these committees, I think there are some infractions in there. The referees committee, for instance, if you read the FIFA's regulations on how referees should be managed, it says that the chairman of the referees committee should be a member of the executive committee, i.e. the normalization committee. But in this case, we have Kujofiano, who is not a member of the normalization committee, who is not a member of the executive committee, who is not a former referee.
The executive committee doesn't exist anymore.
No, but the normalization committee represents the executive committee. So if you read the FIFA's regulation, it says the chairman of the referees committee should be a member of the executive committee. That has not been adhered to. There's a follow-up that says members should have some level of experience in refereeing. But even the chairman does not have any experience in refereeing. He's not been a former referee before. If we go further to some of the members, you take McNoonan. McNoonan is a known marketing person. I mean, at the Major League Soccer, he was their director for marketing and sales. You bring him to technical department. So there are some few
which should be made up of technical brains.
Which should be made up of technical brains. You rather push the director of technical at the Ghana Football Association to a member, to become a member. So there are some few questions to this. So for me, I think it's fine. We agree they need to form these committees. But then even some of the standing committees have been made ad hoc. The referees committee is a standing committee of the FA. The media committee is the standing committee of the FA. They've made them ad hoc committees.
Is it not probably because there isn't a standing FA administration? There is only the normalization committee that is coming in the interim, steady the ship a bit. And so they probably feel that they don't really need to have these standing committees, but they need to have maybe, ad hoc committees that will help their job. And then eventually when an FA is elected into office, they decide what they are going to do with the various standing committees.
It could be the case. But then let's not forget the fact that the normalization committee are not a power unto themselves.
Absolutely.
They are not a law unto themselves. They were brought in through a statute. If you read Article 8 of the FIFA statutes, that is how they were brought in. It means that all the legal documents that they came to meet are still in force. And therefore, and the chairman of the normalization committee mentioned that they still work with the statute.
It's a critical point that you make. So the FA statute, as it is, is still relevant.
Obviously, it is based on the statutes that the Premier League clubs took a stance. That the statute says that we are elite clubs and therefore we must not participate in any competition with these clubs that are not elite clubs.
Absolutely.
It means the statutes are enforced, the regulations are enforced. Therefore, anything you want to do in football, as far as football is concerned, it must be guided by the statutes and regulations.
Let's move on to the way the committee has gone about its work in terms of tackling what at what time first. For a lot of people, trying to organize a competition was a no-no. They've gone ahead to, inaugurate these ad hoc committees and, decided not to let some committees that are supposed to be standing committees to stand on their own. What do you make of how they've gone about their work over the period that they've been in office? And also, that conspiracy theory that I asked you about a couple of days ago, that, they are probably dragging their feet to ensure that they have an extension to their mandate, which ensures that they oversee Ghana's participation at AFCON 2019.
Well, I think that posture has been confirmed by the activities of today. Because if you have barely 60 days to live, and there is no mention of whether you have even started reviewing the statutes or not, there is no mention of the modalities to which elections will be run. Don't forget that we are running elections from the district level, and many people have called for the bottom-up approach. And in this case, we have to go to the districts. We have close to 200 districts that run football. We're out of the 258 districts of Ghana. About 200 of them runs football. It means the NC would have to conduct elections across these 200 districts. When they come, they must even liaise with the state or government whether the 6 administrative regions that were created will be effective by 31st March or not. This has not been done. Even going further, the 10 regions has not been mentioned. They've not done any feasibility tests on these 10 regions. They've not gone to the regions to ascertain structurally how the regions are working. physically how the regions are working. I mean, administratively, how the regions are working. A region like Western Region has had its chairman leave the region to stay. Left to stay in the U.S. for quite a number of months. No one can tell. For the Eastern Region, the chairman was caught up in an expose. Nobody knows what goes up in there.
I mean, as it stands, it's clear that they won't be able to execute their mandate within.
It is very, very clear. Likely they can't finish.
Could they have, if they had decided to deal with the issues as stipulated in their terms of reference, could they have executed their mandate within the stipulated 6 months or so?
For me, I think they didn't even need 6 months. And as mentioned by the chairman of the committee, he stated, these are his words, that as for the review of the statutes, we can even take 2 weeks to do it. So for me, the first thing for them to have done was to have first and foremost consulted all the football group as a way of Congress.
Okay.
Then by taking minutes of what Congress is, you can then form your committee within the first 2 months. Then voila, we go.
And this is where we find ourselves. The statutes of the Ghana Football Association has yet to be touched by the Normalization Committee. They've decided to organize a competition which finds itself in a limbo. They've gone ahead to inaugurate ad hoc committees that I mentioned to you earlier on. We watch closely to see what their next line of action is going to be. As it stands, it appears that there will be an extension to their mandate that will ensure that they oversee Ghana's campaign at AFCON 2019. But we'll see how it all pans out. Thank you very much, Sadie.
But then let's emphasize that
real quick.
If they go beyond their mandate, they've not been fair to Ghanaians. They would not be fair to Ghanaians, seriously.
It would be within the laws, would it not?
They were giving clear mandate and timelines.
Which is subject to extension.
It was not subject to extension.
Okay, right. Thank you very much. That will be all for sport here on Pulse. There is more sports news when you log on to myjoyonline.com/sports. My name is Hans Mensah Ando.